Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another PoE 2, Path of Exile 2 video here. We are about a week away from the actual launch of the early access. Gonna go ahead and take a look at this. Got about a 1 hour playthrough video here, just added very recently from Bajheera, and so this is his footage from an early access event. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Looks like he's got some new footage. He explores the passive tree here. I watched a few minutes of it before I decided to go ahead and make a video on it, just to kind of react to it. A lot of the notables on the tree seem to do quite a bit more like build defining things than in PoE 1. PoE 1, like most of the notables were just larger stat nodes, but a lot of these seem to be more geared towards like a play style or a build style. So that's an interesting thing. We still haven't really seen a lot on the passive tree yet. This is probably honestly the most I've seen of it. So if you guys don't mind hitting that subscribe button, really appreciate it, helps me out. So that's an interesting one there. 100% of your stat requirement from strength on your gear is added to armor. There's a lot of like heavy stun damage. I've seen there's Avatar of Fire, it converts 75% instead of 50%. And then here's what I'll obviously be probably building on my first character, Giant's Blood. It looks like you know, a throwback to Diablo 2 and the Barbarian being able to one-hand, two-handed weapons. So that's pretty awesome. Really looking forward to that and seeing what people can come up with. This one I'm not entirely sure. You know, 2% max fire resist for 40% uncapped. And I'm not sure if that's like 40% over your max fire resist or below. One thing that I do really like is the camera angle here. I think a big problem that Diablo 4 has is that the camera feels too zoomed in. So it kind of limits your field of view. And then also just the speed that the character moves through the game. I am a much bigger fan of that like slower play style. Sorry, we got an ad here. To me it's, you know, a dungeon crawler, and if you're zooming around at, you know, 1,000 miles an hour, it takes away like the crawling from the dungeon. And obviously, like, our characters, I'm sure, will move quicker as we get through the game. But I'm perfectly okay with, like, this speed. Even if it were, you know, maybe a little bit quicker at the end game, just for progression's sake. But even if this was, like, the final speed, I would be okay with that. Especially for like a heavily armored warrior class. I would expect him to be weighed down just a little bit. I also think Diablo 4 is in some serious trouble. PoE 2 looks significantly better from like a design, like a graphical design standpoint, and just from an art standpoint. I don't know what Diablo 4 is going to be able to like market itself on anymore, because really the only thing it had over PoE 1 was graphics, and you know, just it being a newer game. Also, you know, it's a little bit more casual friendly, because PoE 1 is kind of known for you know, having so much depth and content that you almost have to like research quite a bit if you're a new player or if you haven't played in a little while, you have to like bring yourself up to speed on all the mechanics. I do really like, and it almost looks to me, okay, yeah, he's playing on a console here, so I do like that when you open up your inventory, you get like a close-up of your character, and even the close-up of the character here looks really good. The armor and like gear also looks phenomenal. I know Diablo 4, when they were designing the game, they said they were going for a more grounded look, but I don't really think they achieved that. But this to me is that like grounded look where, you know, you don't have you don't like, the gear doesn't look crazy or anything. Like it's not like you got spiky shoulder plates like sticking 10 feet up in the air or anything, just kind of, you know, colorful, but it still looks really good. And especially like with this being starter zone, like Act 1 gear, I'm sure it's gonna get more impressive as we level up. But I mean, you look at the like the 3D aspect of it, and like it's got the collar protection, like it looks really good. Like it looks like a heavily armored character, what I would expect them to look like. And I think like the Diablo 4 design just didn't really capture that. Like, you're the barbarian, and being able to like freely transmog your gear from the get-go, it really kind of takes away that gear progression. And to me, like, that's a huge part of the game, is like the gear progression and seeing your character look and become more powerful over your playthrough. And I think Diablo 4 just didn't get that right, and it looks like Path of Exile 2 has. I mean, granted, we'll have like skins and cosmetics in the game, but like I probably won't even use them anytime soon. I'm kind of more interested in seeing like the natural progression of the gear in the game and just what that looks like on my first, you know, several playthroughs. But yeah, I mean, the boss fights are just very impressive. The way that the attacks are telegraphed, without just putting like red circles on the ground like Diablo 4. It is kind of funny how there's become sort of like a beef between PoE 2 and like Blizzard or Diablo 4 devs. A lot of back and forth this last like week or so, ever since the announcement live stream. Okay, that was pretty cool to see him like blocking the boss attack with the shield. Ooh, he's dead. But yeah, so like Diablo 4 dev, or like lead dev, put out a tweet or something about, you know, we should call games that are ARPGs like Diablo-like. Dude clearly has no idea what he's talking about, because for the last, you know, 20 years almost, every ARPG has been called a Diablo clone. The term never was Diablo-like, it was Diablo clone. So like you've got Titan Quest, you've got Grim Dawn, you've got you know, PoE 1, which like they very clearly said like, hey, we made this game like based off Diablo 2 with the intent of it being Diablo 2's spiritual successor. Like, Chris Wilson was a huge Diablo 2 player, and if memory serves me correctly, he made the money to like start PoE 1 from his like D2 JSP, like selling stuff for cash, from like Diablo 2 gear for cash, or Diablo 2 gear for cash. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how PoE 1 got started. Like they were designing it in the garage with the money that they'd made off of like D2 JSP. So, but yeah, I mean everything has been called a Diablo clone up until, you know, very recently, as like Diablo 3 came out and really just kind of like crapped the bed, and then Diablo 4 didn't live up to what we wanted it to be either. And I think Blizzard like has really got it wrong, and GGG kind of called them out on that with their, you know, they took a little jab at them in their live stream saying, you know, a lot of games come out with the campaign complete, but no like end game, and a lot of characters are really just like looking for that end game content. So just because you have like a campaign with a storyline, like maybe that was good enough 20 plus years ago when like Diablo 2 came out and then Diablo 1, but I mean really even like Diablo 2 has about as much of an end game as Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, in my opinion. Like in terms of just like the end game is gear finding, like loot finding and boss killing. Diablo 3, Diablo 4 just didn't really have that, and their biggest attempt at creating an end game just really fell short in I think every sort of aspect that people like wanted. So Diablo 2, like the end game was farming gear and then using that gear to improve your character or create new characters, and having a lot of alts, because there were eight classes, if off the top of my head, and you know, getting you know, top tier items, best in slot for every class and every build you wanted to play. Just because that's the thing, is like even with that many different classes, like they all still have their own builds, and you could have multiple classes, you know, characters of the same class with multiple builds. So I'm trying to see where the stun, there's supposed to be like, okay, so I think at the bottom in the middle is like the stun bar for your character. It's kind of hard to see that, really. Like if you're blocking and trying to keep an eye on your character's health and mana and like not fill up your stun meter. But one thing I'm really looking forward to is playing this like on my PS5, and I'm hoping that the update time speed for it, like on the PS5, is better than PS4, because like on PS4 I'm pretty sure when I tried playing PoE 1 on that for like a league, anytime there was an update, it had to basically like download the entire game file plus the new update every time. So if there's like a minor patch, you're stuck in like a 20 to 35 minute like download time, because it's downloading so many gigabytes of content to like basically reinstall the whole game. So hopefully it's better on the PS5 and with PoE 2 than the PS4. And I think it was like a PlayStation side issue, because I don't think it's like that on Xbox. But one thing I've also noticed too is with the lack of my understanding is that there's no health on the passive tree aside from what you get from like strength nodes, I suppose. It's interesting to see how squishy your character is when fighting bosses, because in PoE 1, if you wanted to You could pump like stats into strength and life early on in the game, and have just like a very tanky character to where you could kind of like face tank the early game bosses without really any problem. But that does not seem to be the case in PoE 2. Like, it seems... I wonder where his, I don't see, like, a health potion or... Oh, there it is. I see the health potion and mana potion now. So that just must be the number of charges. So it's his left and right, like, directional buttons. But yeah, so we only have one health potion and one mana potion now. In PoE 2, you cannot, like, opt to have 2 health potions or 2 mana potions. You are limited to 1 of each, no more, no less. There are no more utility flasks. They've kind of transferred that sort of utility, like immune to poison or like corrupted blood, bleeding, etc. Stats or affixes onto charms. You can see that under his belt slot there. And what those do is they'll trigger when you get that status debuff and make you immune to it for a certain amount of time. It refills as you kill monsters. So it's just kind of automated now.
Getting 8 ads every 20 minutes is actually
so it seems like it's going to be much more important to focus on like other defenses, because we can't really like stack life from the passive tree. So I'm guessing, armor is going to be a lot more important. Armor, evasion. If you're going energy shield's going to be important. But yeah, like these early game bosses do seem to be like quite the challenge. Like it seems like learning the boss like attack patterns like Souls games is going to be a lot more important, and avoiding the damage is a lot more important than just like being able to walk out of the way of an attack, or like kite the boss. Like it seems like utilizing the dodge mechanic or the blocking mechanic is much more important when it comes to beating the boss. Like you can't stand there and trade hits with the boss, at least at this point in the game. Like he's that basically like one-shot him. I do personally like how the fights reset. You're not gonna just be able to like rush down the boss and like throw yourself at the boss repeatedly. So I'm also noticing he can like switch between his two-hander and then pull out the shield to block like when needed. And I think that's the heavy stun. From my understanding too, just from what I've heard, he will be so you can like add support gems to your normal attack, and the intention of the game is basically that we will still be utilizing our sort of normal attack on, in certain situations, whether it's like trash mobs, or like even here on the boss, like he's using his normal attack on the boss. He's out of health potions. Okay. We finally got the boss.
Your name has long been maligned in Ogem Draven. This was my pleasure.
Oh, come on, dude. You could have got both those items. Just gotta do a little inventory Tetris. I really like that town portal animation. The town portal, the base town portal actually looks pretty sick in my opinion. So this is the disenchant. So this is where we get shards for the crafting materials.
Be careful.
This is not the place.
How's the clearing?
This is the merchant where you sell stuff for gold. My understanding, like, if you're wanting to like min-max, you're probably better off disenchanting your stuff early on to get why would he buy that? It's definitely not better than what he's got. Oh, okay. Interesting choice. So I'm assuming we don't get stats from like our weapon swap items until we like bring them out. But yeah, what I would suggest doing is selling disenchanting your gear with that vendor until you have like a good enough stockpile of shards for crafting, because crafting is going to be hugely important compared to PoE 1. Like, we're going to be picking up items and, you know, not alching. Well, I guess you might alch them, but you're also probably going to transmute, augment, regal, and then exalt spam. That is what they want us doing as early as Act 1. So they said if we're not doing that, then the currency drop rates aren't high enough. So they've like significantly increased the currency drop rates to the point where people have so much of it that you feel comfortable doing it. So by the end of Act 1, like, I would say from what I've heard, we're gonna have like 5 to 10 exalts, just to give you, an idea. And if we have that many exalts, then we'll probably have quite a bit more of the other crafting material, especially since they're obtainable through vendor. So going to the disenchanter with blue items gives you transmute shards, and then yellow items gives you regal shards.
Feel my wrath.
They've even really, I think, upped their game with the soundtrack for PoE 2. It reminds me very much, it's very reminiscent of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. Like, it sets the mood, but at the same time, you don't really hear it. Like, if I was listening to the soundtrack, I would have a hard time telling you that it wasn't from Diablo 2.
At last, it's open! Praise the first ones! Quickly, come with me, we still have time! What is this? Graves! Isabel! Torquil! Callum! The family of Count Lachlan of Ogham. My family! This doesn't make any sense! They're dead! Those bastard Eternals! I must make them pay! I must make them suffer!
Bro. That chill's really kind of messing up his defensive options. Oh. So it seems like having a backup shield, even if you're going two-hander, is still a really good idea just for the defensive option. Got him.
Hunt with the first ones, old man.
Using Armor Break repeatedly against enemies will break their armor, allowing you to deal more damage.
Okay, so it even gives you
Look out
like
for this symbol on enemy life
an
bars to see
in-game
which enemies have high
explanation
armor.
of the skill.
There are many other skills that have additional effects on monsters if their armor is broken.
That's such good design, because I used to have to like alt tab, go to
Using Armor
YouTube,
Break repeatedly against
find
enemies
the
will
find the
break
skill
their
gem,
armor,
or like when
allowing
new
you to
skill
deal
gems came
more
out,
damage.
like go look them up, see what it is that they actually do, try and determine if I want to use it.
Using Armor Break repeatedly against enemies will break their armor, allowing you to deal more damage. While Bone Shatter is equipped, monsters display these indicators when they are close to being heavy stunned. Use Bone Shatter to heavy stun them instantly and deal a high
You've earned it.
You're not a child, you're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside and get the bear.
Corruption has twisted these wilds beyond recognition.
Those are crabs. Toxic laser crab. And I'm really torn between like playing on console, or I mean PC, and if I'm gonna use WASD move or point to click move. I mean, it just looks like being able to like back pedal and side pedal is gonna be very advantageous, especially on certain classes and certain builds. Like when you're using the shield raise ability, like it's going to be really difficult, I think, to keep your shield facing the right direction and move backwards at the same time with a click to move. It may not even be possible.
What is this?
Okay, so we got a shrine here, so those can appear in the actual campaign. That is not something I knew. So that's interesting to see. I wonder if some of the other, the ritual shrine. I wonder if other mechanics are also going to be appearing at random through our campaign playthrough. I thought it was only in the end game, so that is interesting to see.
Shockwave Totem repeatedly thumps the ground, dealing area damage. Using Armor Break,
Wow, I used to know the outcasts who live above. Why look?
He lives up to his reputation.
You gonna go to the ritual altar? Or can you not spend the currency yet? Maybe you have to complete all of them now. We got two rare mobs, or is he putting off an aura? It seems like target decision making is going to be a lot more important in your playthroughs here, because not everything dies in like one shot.
While Bone Shatter is equipped, monsters display these in
The other thing we learned as well is that we'll be able to support the skills that are granted by items. So getting skills from items now is actually, you know, just as good as having the gem. So I'm curious to see, like, I would assume that we'll be able to get skills from items that are only obtainable through items, as well as possibly, you know, base skills with higher level potential through items. You know, that you can't, like, let's say the max level's 20 for the gym, but possibly we find an item that gives us like a level 25 firebolt or something to that effect. Yeah, it seems like movement is going to be very important in terms of staying alive. Like, I've done another, you know, commentary over an Act 1 playthrough, and that player was struggling a lot when they got to this zone because they were just playing the game like PoE 1 and not using a shield, not utilizing the roll mechanic. They were just basically trying to stand there and ground slam everything, or Fisher, and then getting, you know, interrupted, getting insta-killed from the incoming damage. So this is kind of refreshing to see a player utilizing the new mechanics in a way that seems to be like their intention. And this is going to be the Crow Bell, one of the like side bosses here.
Is that what's been eating our cattle? You won't get away from me. Rage all you want, beast.
I love how it uses that bell as a weapon. Man, I'm so hyped for this game. After that announcement video, there's, you know, one thing I was worried about was that the game wouldn't have really an end game yet, or it would just not be enough content to keep people engaged, and it might, you know, be seen as not ready to have been released. But, you know, it came out, it's got like 10 times more in-game content than I was expecting it to have. So that is just fantastic. So I'm curious to see, like, in what ways we would support our base skill. So his base like normal attack has a higher DPS than most of his other abilities. That's interesting to see. And then in case you didn't catch this from the launch video or live stream, so you can only use one support gem of each type on your character. So if you have like a faster attack support gem, you can only support one skill with that. You cannot have like 5 faster attacks. So the support gems we use for our abilities is going to be much more strategic and like based on our playstyle. I think he's trying to figure out how to use his weapon set skill points. I wonder if the regular mace attack has like a splash to it, or if it just is a single target.
You found the ring.
I don't want to start a fight.
But we gotta revive the hooded one. Oh, that's the dude from the cinematic.
How long has it been? It can still be
This seed.
Yes. Please.
So if we are to heal this land, we must find this eye.
What have we got? Till next time. How can I help? Stick to the cairns.
Destruction!
He's really utilizing the shockwave totem quite a bit. I'm wondering if the totems are gonna be more of like a support ability, or if people are gonna like I mean, I would assume that it'll still be possible to like fully build a character as like a totem build. So I wonder on console, when you go to your menu, does that pause the game? Like, what if you're playing like multiplayer with crossplay, and you go into that inventory screen? Like, I'm assuming it doesn't pause the game in multiplayer, at least. I can't tell if it does in single player or not. I really like the fields here, and like the wheat fields, the corn. Like, it kind of limits your view. Like, there could be monsters hiding in there that you're not gonna see clearly. I'm assuming there'll be maps like based off this biome, and you know, depending on what kind of monsters are in those fields, that could potentially be like a problem we would have to deal with.
I can put right one thing, at least.
Yeah, you can tell it's a lot harder to see them in those fields. The combat just feels so much more strategic, at least early on here, and I'm hoping it stays the same throughout the game. Like, it seems like you're really situationally having to be aware of like where the enemies are what type of enemies they are, and then base your you know, skill that you decide to use off the situation that you find yourself in the moment. Yeah, it's really hard to see the monsters in those fields. Oh yeah. Scarecrow beast. Thinking that life regen with the very limited flasks early on is also going to be very important. Like we can't stack life. Ooh. Oh, he got saved by that level up. Like we can't stack life as easily. I think really the main source is going to be gear, and then we can't really stack. Yeah, like that node's going to be huge. Like if it's me, I'm probably gonna start here and go through these nodes and get that like very early. I'm thinking that probably life regen is gonna be one of the most important defensive layers that you can get on a life-based character. Like we're gonna have to have sustain with, you know, with really being limited on our access to healing potions. Especially early on in the game. Like if we can maneuver and heal without having to chug potions, I think that's going to help get through like the campaign a lot quicker. And it's going to help you, you know, reach your end game content quicker. And then overall, it's probably just going to be a much more important defensive mechanic. And it was already very important in PoE 1, but it wasn't really, you know, absolutely necessary. Like you could probably, you know, just stack life early on and, you know, have maybe a little bit of life regen just to keep yourself like topped off, and then use potions. But you could have, you know, like 3 or 4 life potions and a quicksilver flask, and then get through, you know, the entire game like that very easily. But it seems very, you could very quickly chug through all your potions in a boss fight if you're not, you know, dodging the damage or avoiding the damage. And once you run out of your potions and you end up dying, like now you've reset the boss fight. Like we've already seen quite a few players take like 5 or more attempts to kill a boss just because they run out of life potions. So the more regen we can have to not have to chug the potions, the better. So yeah, probably life regen or life leech or a combination of the two is going to be very important for, like, you know, especially a melee based character. Because health potions, or we're not going to be able to rely on those in our playthrough like we have in PoE 1 or like any other ARPG typically. So yeah, his health potion currently uses 10 of 65 charges. So that means in a boss fight you've got 6 uses 6 or 7 usages, depending on if there's like ads spawning. Not sure why he did that. Unless he's planning on going one-handed shield style. So I'm wondering if you could use the sledgehammer as like a one-handed weapon with Giant's Blood. Like that would look pretty crazy. That was one thing in Diablo 2 that you couldn't do. It was just the two-handed swords that you could wield one-handed. So using a two-handed axe or hammer one-handed is going to be pretty awesome, I think. One thing I do like, and I hope they get the balance, like strike the balance between the two play styles and get that right, is like the shields, the shield ability does give you a ton of survivability, but it's sort of like skill based. It's like an active play style. It doesn't just give you like a 50% or 70% chance to avoid damage. Like you have to actively use it. But then I'm also hoping that that survivability boost isn't so much better than a two-hander, that like it'll still be a choice that we have to make based off like the build we're going for that character. I just hope we're not like pigeonholed into one or the other, because one or the other ends up being significantly, you know, superior to the other, or that it gets like edged out. Because like having the shield, I could see just being able to completely negate damage, especially on like a pinnacle boss fight. And granted, there are some unblockable attacks, and maybe that's kind of like where that balance is going to come from, is like, hey, these attacks are unblockable, so having a shield really doesn't give you much of a benefit in these situations. So, you know, I'm just curious to see like what that's going to look like. Yeah, he's just kind of like holding the shield up when he gets into melee here, and he's not really taking any damage. And I'm wondering if you can like hold the shield and attack from behind it at the same time. Like hold the shield up and block damage and then also attack. Or do you drop your guard when you attack?
Shatter!
Should be another boss fight. Oh yeah, this is the Executioner.
Sentenced to death.
He's pretty sick looking.
Face me!
He's got some pretty awesome abilities too. See, that's another good combination I'm thinking of. So like if you've got the life regen and the shield, you can hold up your shield and like just be blocking the damage and regenerating life. So, you know, that's another really good defensive like combination there. But yeah, it does seem like the damage is significantly lower, and the stun buildup is significantly lower too. And maybe one thing with like having the active block ability, you'll be able to build more into offensive nodes to kind of like mitigate that lost damage. But, you know, I mean, I think for me it's just all about the two-handers. And if I can have two-handers, you know, that's even better. I wonder how that's gonna work. Like, do you get the full damage? Oh, do you get the full damage boost from? I wonder if we get an ability like that sort of fire smash. That would be sick.
Crush them!
Get down here!
I wonder if there's like any thorns mechanics to where you're blocking and, you know, they take damage from hitting you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy plays like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, because he's definitely doing way better than the other guy whose video of an Act 1 playthrough that I did commentary over. That guy was just like repeatedly dying, and they both were playing warrior classes. The other guy wasn't using a shield at all, or really using the dodge roll mechanic. I think we're getting... okay. We still got another couple minutes. So I'm not sure if this is a full Act 1 playthrough, or if this just, you know... or if there's like a... playthrough. Oh, this is part 2. So that's fine. I mean, we didn't really need to see the, like, very first part, because we've already seen it once. Rage. They grant rage on hit. So I'm assuming it's the same or similar to PoE 1, where it gives you just like a more damage multiplier per point of rage.
Shadow!
I've nowhere to keep that. I've nowhere to keep that.
It seems probably like a good idea to rush down those ranged attackers. They've got that big AoE fire splash crossbow shot. Look at how many heads are there from the executioner. Oh, she's alive?
He killed. Clearfell is safe.
None will stop me from enacting vengeance.
we're basically at the end of the video here, guys. So I will do the other, you know, part 3 of the playthrough next. I'm assuming there's probably just a part 3 that gets through the end of Act 1. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember to give them the D.